Are allergies the phobia of the mind? Today on this episode of The State of Happiness, we're going to explore allergies, limiting beliefs, and how you can restore your own inner balance. Stay tuned. Welcome to The State of Happiness. I'm your host, Leslie Juvin-Acker, Chief Happiness Officer at Leslie Inc., where we provide solutions for finding happiness for stressed, anxious, and overwhelmed senior level managers, executives, and entrepreneurs. The State of Happiness podcast offers you conversation, inspiration, and ideas for helping you increase your happiness in the areas of your personal relationships, your career, your abundance, and your emotional well-being. So come along with us on this episode, and we'll help you get the tools, resources, and inspiration you need to help you find your own state of happiness.
Looking for a speaker for your next company event? Leslie Juvin-Acker is San Diego's expert in emotional intelligence. Captivating audiences with her insightful, motivational stories, Leslie draws on her 10-plus years of experience in career life coaching to provide poignant, inspirational advice for all. Highly regarded as an expert in the field of leadership development, Leslie is your spark for a positive company culture. Have Leslie inspire your team. Contact me, Anna Gomez, at 347-748-0513 to book Leslie today. Have Leslie speak at your next company event. 347-748-0513.
On this episode of The State of Happiness, we've got Anna Gomez, our VP of Development and my best friend. We're going to talk about allergies. Are they a symptom of emotional imbalance? We're going to tell Anna's story today. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
Hi!
So let's talk about allergies, emotional imbalance, limiting beliefs. We got a story to share with all our happy campers today about Anna's own story of anxiety and stress and how that manifested through an allergy. Take us from the beginning.
Yeah, so I really wanted to share this story because I feel like it's really relevant for this month with mental health. And I'm thinking a lot of reader or listeners will relate to it. So for me, I was working in New York full time. It was a busy season. I mean, we had a huge exhibition going on and it was non-stop. Like, I would maybe get one day off. It was pretty much by myself managing the department. And I was, like you say, burnt out. All I could think about was like, I needed a freaking vacation. Like, get me out of here. And I called you up and was like, can I come over?
That's what a lot of people say to me.
And you said, yeah, sure, pick a day in July, I think it was. And I was like, okay, I have my vacation day set. I'm coming over. And really, I was just burnt out. I had been working all the time. And for me, it was just a matter of let me just leave the situation. Let me get out of the place where I was physically and come visit you and enjoy the sun in California, go to the beach, hang out with my godson, your kids, Frank, and just relax, Right. And we were hanging out with your friend Holly, right. And we were just having a girls' day, relaxing. We brought out some bubbly and some snacks and just chatting and sharing stories. And Leslie brought out like some cherries. And I don't know if you guys know, but cherries are like my absolute favorite. Cherries and shrimp. If there's a recipe to combine the two, I'd be all over it.
I call shrimp the cockroaches of the sea.
No, they're so good.
Yuck.
Well, anyway, we were just talking, and she brought out a whole bunch of cherries, and I said, oh, I love those, but I can't. I have an allergy. And you were like, what? What do you mean? You love cherries. And so I told you the story, and I was telling Leslie and Holly how I was working so much, working all the time, that one day I finally had a day off, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna go to the store, and cherries were in season, and I'm gonna buy a bag, and just sit at home, take a nice shower, sit at home, and veg Netflix with my cherries."
Binge, Netflix and chill.
Yeah, and I started eating them, and it was like a little tingly, and I started getting irritable in my mouth, and I was like, "Oh crap!" So I ate some more, and then it really started getting very bad that I almost felt like I couldn't breathe, like an actual allergic reaction. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't eat these anymore." I mean, I only had like 3 cherries, and I started having this.
What'd you do? Take a Benadryl?
No, I just stopped eating it. I drank some water. I don't usually take any kind of medication, and it went away. With time, it went away.
Oh my God, how many hours?
Probably a good 3 to 4 hours. That it was like heavy, hard to breathe. Like it felt swollen and itchy and everything.
God, so you were having a type of anaphylaxis in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were like, "Oh no, there's something in there." Typical Leslie's like, "No, let's figure this out. Let's figure this out." And
we went investigating.
Yeah, we went investigating like Leslie does. And we did some muscle testing, which is a technique that you use.
Right.
We did some muscle testing. We did some energy work. We did some in-depth question asking.
Right.
And we revealed a lot of things. And for me, we revealed that cherries were a symbol for me.
Yeah.
Cherries were a symbol of pleasure. Of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And also that I was having that reaction to cherries because I didn't feel worthy of enjoying that. I didn't feel worthy of having that pleasure.
Yeah, you felt guilty.
I felt guilty for taking that time to enjoy myself.
Right.
Right?
And what was it that you felt like you had to do instead?
Constantly work. Like I felt like I had to constantly work, to constantly make money, to constantly survive, and that I wasn't safe to relax, to enjoy myself. And it was like this vicious cycle that it's not okay to have fun and enjoy yourself because you have to keep working or always be thinking of working in order to enjoy life. It's weird in a weird way. I feel like that's how my brain was functioning.
It was like, how do they call that? A contradiction.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I was constantly working to live versus working to enjoy life in a sense, you know?
Right. Yeah, you were surviving.
Exactly. I was surviving. Exactly. And so my subconscious was like, "Oh no, let's not, it's not okay to have fun. We can't have cherries. You have to be working all the time, 24/7, even when you're not physically at work." Right. You know what I mean? There was no separation for me at that time. There really wasn't.
And that's a problem that a lot of executives and a lot of managers have, is that they feel chained to their desk or they feel chained to their job, and that they have to constantly have their mind on their money.
Correct.
You know, and their money on their mind all the time. I mean, I even have clients like that who I've worked with, like investment bankers, people who work in capital, and like they have a ton of money and a ton of resources, but their mind is always on their money. And so they have all of these things that they could enjoy, but they can't because they subconsciously believe, they've programmed into their mind that they have to. Otherwise, the money will just stop.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. So I think at that time, yeah, for sure.
So you had a rich person's problem, but you didn't have the rich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and then you know, once we discovered that, once we tapped into that, but you
were crying full on.
Oh yeah, I had an emotional breakdown pretty much, which is unlike me.
I know, because you have very strong Capricorn energies.
Yes, I can come off as very stern and serious.
Yes.
Right? First impressions, I've been told that. Very serious person. But so I hold those emotions in, I really do. And then when you ask me those simple questions, what do you believe? What do you think? I just started crying. And I distinctly remember going back into a memory of when I was a child being raised, and how, we had to do chores, and how my mom instilled in us that you always have to work, you always have to, your value.
Your stepmom.
My stepmom, yeah.
Right.
My value comes in working.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that you have to work in order to be happy.
Right, but that's an old, outmoded belief that came from her generation, because I know her, and she's super loving, very, very wonderful and supportive, but she carries that belief with her too, that you always got to be working really hard, like hard work. And it's a belief of a
it's a strong work ethic, I think. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we have good strong work ethics, but you can't have those work ethics interfere with your happiness, really.
And your well-being.
Your well-being, yeah. So this is like an extreme work ethic, like a workhorse.
She does. She has an extreme work ethic, and so do you. And that's why you left that job ultimately to come join us here at Leslie Inc. is because you believed in, first and foremost, you never had really truly seen me in action. So.
True. That's true. I had never seen. Well, yeah. First of all, I was amazed how quickly you were able to just tap into that. Like, just you asking me those proper questions, reading my emotions, using your intuition, using your experience. You were able to pinpoint what that statement was, that underlying beliefs that I had, and then you were able to tap into that and change it. And we did some energy work as well as some hypnosis work and some reaffirmation work to kind of change that belief.
Right.
And it was so quick. I think maybe at most 30 minutes. Yeah. And the longest part was the me crying part. You know what I mean? And it was amazing. You changed that belief. And it was like, for me, it was like a moment of relief that, wow, I don't have to live that way. I don't have to constantly work and think about work to get money to have the life I want. You know what I mean? I can enjoy cherries. I can enjoy having fun. You know what I mean? And still make money. Right? Because that's another thing of mine.
And also, you don't have to think about making money in order to make money.
Correct. True.
Yeah.
True.
Because a lot of people get stuck on that, and they're like, because it's an old, outmoded belief of, the generation that I hope to make extinct through my work, is that you have to trade your time, your attention, your immediate energies for money. And that's just simply false, because we see people, and I'm not knocking them, but like the Kardashians, where they're famous for what, They haven't really accomplished much or made real difference in, the world, but they film one episode, it gets distributed all over the world, and all of a sudden they're in everyone's homes making an emotional and personal connection. And then they leverage that, and they work on one product, it goes all over the world and whatever. So they're not trading their time for money. Their belief system about money is a completely different one.
Yeah.
And God bless them, they've done it, but it's just to prove, to show that there are certain principles in the universe about money and abundance that you don't have to be the greatest philanthropist like Mother Teresa, who had the Catholic Church and $1 billion behind her, but you could be like our president presently, or you can be the Kardashians and still leverage these universal facts to make a great amount of money, and it still works. Part of that work with you is to go, okay, you can have fun while making money, and also you don't always have to slave your time for money, and to make an initial investment and let that come back, which I call the seed principle. It's really about planting your seed and letting it come back. So it was a part of that process of releasing you from those limiting beliefs, the beliefs that you got from when you were a child, the cultural beliefs of our country, that you have to work hard to be a success and all this other stuff. You let those go and create a new vision of yourself and how you enjoy your life, how you bring money into your life, and how you work. like your style of work, where it's not something that burns you out.
Yes.
Until you're
where I'm like
about to
desperate for a vacation.
come into my house and like I can't deal with this anymore. Can't do that no more. So that was really the work that we were doing. And
Yes. Yeah.
I think ultimately it was the beginning of the end of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because you've moved forward and done more work on yourself and
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that was transformative, just seeing that work done on me and how I felt afterwards, and seeing, oh my God, this shit works. Like, this is real. Like, you don't have to live this way. You know what I mean? Everything you can have, it all comes down to what, it sounds so simple, but it's a lot of work. And that's the thing. People don't want to do that work sometimes. And I think that's what's great. What you do, honestly, is you kind of are able to cut through the bullshit, cut through the chaos or the stories, as you say, that people are telling, and get into the root belief, or that root cause, or that root, thing, to unlock it and reprogram it in a sense. And then you do the meditation, you do the tapping, you do the affirmations, and continue them until it just becomes in your normal psyche over and over again. And one thing that I really learned was the whole thing about allergies. I mean, I had no idea that my new developing allergy for cherries, something that I'd always loved, was my body, in essence, attacking.
Right.
It was saying, no, we can't have that. No, it's not part of our, our belief system. Sorry, which, you had a similar story too with the shrimp.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. So to preface this, is one of my mentors who trained me on how to do this type of energy psychology, is what we call it. And they said that allergies are the phobia of the mind. Allergies are the phobia of the mind. And that was something like, whoa. And I had my own experience, actually twice. I had an allergy to shrimp that put me in the hospital and almost killed me twice. So one of them was on prom night, senior prom.
Oh, yeah.
So
long ago.
A million years ago.
High school.
I got this really gorgeous dress. A friend actually bought it for me. And I was going with my boyfriend to prom, and I was so excited. And we went to a Benihana's type restaurant where you don't have a control as to who's sitting at your table. And I was seated at this table, and there was at this table a bunch of people who I wasn't like clicking with at that time. It's high school drama, right? And I just felt really attacked because they didn't want to sit at the table with me, and I didn't want to sit at the table with them. Obviously, high school drama. And all of a sudden, I eat my shrimp, which was like, yas. But now I call them cockroaches at sea. But back then, I was like, yas, give me some shrimp. So I was eating it. It was great. Get in my boyfriend's dad's car. It's like a cool BMW. And we get in, and all of a sudden, my underarms start itching.
Oh, gosh.
And they're itching, and then all of a sudden, like, my eyes are, like, hurt. And then I get really hot. And before you know it, I go into full-blown, like, allergy. But it didn't happen until I literally walked into the prom.
Oh, Jesus.
Which was at Everbank Field at the time, which is the stadium of the Jaguars. So, go Jags.
Oh, yeah.
So,
got tie in. Go
yeah,
Jags.
I gotta throw the Jags in. But I go in, and, like, all of a sudden, I get on the dance floor. We're not even in the full minute, and all of a sudden, like, I can feel my skin, like, heating up. I get in, and then one of the chaperones is like, honey, I think you're having an allergy attack. And I'm like, oh my God. And we had to rush out of there, go to the hospital. And by the time I get to the hospital, I'm hot, like burning. And he's got the AC like at 50 degrees in the car, full on. And they run out of hospital rooms. So I'm in the ICU unit in front of like this old dude. He looks like he's going to die. He looked like the corpse from that one show, The Crypt Keeper. Oh, and I'm sitting there in front of the nurse's station in my prom gown, crying. and I just look absolutely horrible. And then my ex-boyfriend's dad, my boyfriend at the time's dad walks in. He looks at me, and the guy is like fighting back laughter, like the irony of the moment, and it makes me feel even more worse. And then my mom comes in, and my mom is like, she couldn't even, at that time, like, my relationship with mom was not great, right? So she couldn't be bothered with any personal crisis that I had. So she just comes in, she's like, oh God, and then she just walks out. Like, I didn't even see her. And I'm sitting there, my boyfriend at the time was very sweet, very nice, thank God. And that was like that. And I felt attacked. I just felt attacked. Then the next one was years later. Now, after this situation, mind you, I went to the very best allergist in France. Mm-hmm. I went to an allergist in South Florida. I had my blood tested, my skin tested. I had everything possibly done. And both doctors in France and in Florida were like, you're not allergic to shrimp.
That's crazy.
You're not allergic to shrimp. There's not one indicator in your body that says that you're allergic to shrimp. And I'm like, okay. So again, I'm in France again. I am in a photography class, and the photography teacher is such a creep. He's making like sexual innuendos, and he's just a creeper. You came one time to the class and met him. You must have blocked out this memory, because as we were talking about this earlier, you were like, I don't remember that. And I'm like, probably because it was so dramatic, and like the guy was so creepy.
I tend to ignore people.
Hashtag me too. Gross.
Of memories of people that I don't feel like remembering, so it's
like me. Like, if I don't care for someone, I'm like, what's their name? Like, I can't remember their name yet. But anyway, so you get like grossed out by this weirdo, and it got so bad that our friend Tom was like, hey, you need to stop being this way. Like, that was like so bad. And anyway, I was a big trail runner in France, so the morning of that thing, I was thinking of going to the photography class that night.
I remember this story. Go on, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like a trail runner, and I ate some paella, because like they said I was clear for shrimp, so I was eating paella. It was great. But I was on my run, and I was thinking about, oh man, I gotta go to this class. I don't feel like going. Maybe I should just bail, but I really want to learn. So I was so conflicted. But this guy was such a creeper. And so I'm running, I'm jogging. So I'm jogging with my sweater on. All of a sudden, my underarms get itchy again.
Jeez.
But this time, it was even worse.
Yeah.
And I guess jogging accelerated that, because I went one full loop around the park, and then I came back home, and I called Frank, and I'm like, I can't breathe. I was like, I can't breathe. And so one of his colleagues was like, you should call the emergency services right now. And I'm throwing up. I can't really breathe at all. And the next thing I know, like, my throat is closing up. I'm in full anaphylaxis. We live in a bottom unit. You have to climb up the stairs to go to the main road. And I remember having this very clear thought in my head going, okay, I could die. Like, I could die right now. And, like, my throat is closing up, and I could die. And it was just this really clear moment. I didn't feel scared in that moment, but it was this thought to myself, like, okay, I could die right now. And then just as that thought happened, and I collapsed on the garden stairwell, the firefighters, paramedics bust through. God bless the firefighters. As a side note, I don't know what it is about firefighters, but they are genetically bred to be good looking, no matter where they are in the world. And I'm having this crappy moment in my life. And these beautiful men pick me up, put me on the recliner, and just inject me with everything possible to stop it.
That's so freaking scary.
And my feet are swollen, and like for 2 weeks
scary.
I couldn't walk because my feet were so swollen.
Wow.
The hormonal parts of my body were just...
Wow.
But I remember thinking, wow, after I had learned from this mentor who said, allergies are the phobias of the mind, and then thinking back at those memories, I realized, like, my subconscious mind rather die than be in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Jeez, what a thought. You'd rather die than go to a class with this creep.
I rather die than be put through that, and that was the limiting belief that I had, and I had to work through that I associated shrimp with attack and unsafe and insecure and like violence.
Wow.
And powerlessness. So I had to disconnect that. I still don't eat shrimp just because they are the cockroaches of the sea. No offense. But
I'll have your shrimp.
you can have all the shrimp in my cocktail. But like, no, I just realized, wow, this is a very powerful thing. But you're not the only person who has experienced that. I have, and other people that I've experienced as well with animals, with food, with any kind of chemical sensitivity. There is something there.
Yeah.
Now, this is not to be confused with eating something that just isn't right for you.
True.
Right? That you're like Edgar Cayce, the father of holistic health. He said in many readings that some bodies are just not meant for certain types of food. I wouldn't call that an allergy. I'd call that an intolerance. Right? Like lactose intolerance, whatever. But it's worth it to go to your doctor and see if you're actually physically, biologically, and chemically allergic to something, or if it is indeed a phobia of the mind.
Yeah.
I did my due diligence. I went to the very best doctors possible, and they were both in both countries, double blind, saying, sorry, you're not allergic to shrimp.
Yeah.
Or any seafood for that matter. So,
I mean, I don't have any in all of my testing, and I don't have any allergies that I'm aware of.
So you did get tested?
No, I didn't get tested specifically for
but you did get tested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if you're thinking, do I have an intolerance, or is this a phobia of the mind? Do your due diligence. Go see your doctor. Go see an expert. Find out, and then figure out what is it that's triggering this situation. And you will begin to identify there are indeed some limiting beliefs that are causing an emotional imbalance that has trickled down into your physical system, that your subconscious mind, your spiritual self, wants you to correct and restore and create harmony within yourself.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's triggering something for you to pay attention.
Yeah,
And
like anything.
And that's something I've learned with you too, is like your emotions are a signal for you to process whatever that experience is for whatever reason, in a sense. It's almost like, hey, you have this attack, or you have this reaction, or you're feeling this anxiety, you're feeling this stress, you're feeling this knot in your stomach, you're feeling, this crazy migraine for a reason. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a physical reason that requires, medical assistance, mm-hmm. or maybe it's an emotional reason that requires some looking into. Right. Also, sometimes with assistance, with counseling or coaching, or, someone else that could help you to unblock that, right?
I really like how you said process, and it's about emotional processing. In both of our situations, specifically in this story, is that you just held in your emotions, you didn't process them.
Correct.
For me, I held in this fear, I didn't process this fear. I didn't go and talk to someone besides my friend Tom at the time and say, hey, this guy's a creeper. It was really like, I felt like, yeah, he knew he was a creeper and he was being inappropriate with his words. But there really wasn't much like, how does that make you feel? Or do you feel unsafe? Or, someone like attacking you?
Yeah.
Because surely there was also attached to my own childhood where my mm-hmm. parents were physically violent with each other and mm-hmm. not feeling safe in that sense of being attacked. So when you're looking at this and you're going like, wow, it's your emotions want you to process them, because if they don't, they begin to fester and they will create mental imbalances, like paranoid thoughts. I call them, like, sometimes people will come in and they'll have these stories, and again, I always call them stories. They'll come with these stories and I call them like, these stories of paranoia, or conspiracy theories is more specifically what I call them. And they'll come in and like, this person's out to get me and this and that. And most of the time, that's just not true. Yeah, sometimes there are people who just have daggers at you and they want you to fail, or they do want to hurt you or whatever. But most of the time, the conspiracy theories that we create are just projection of old experiences into a new situation. And we have to identify and process those feelings from the original experience in order to move forward and to deal with the new experience with fresh eyes.
Yeah. Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. That's what you do.
That's what It's part of what I do,
Yeah.
because if a professional would come in and see me and they're having, panic attacks or anxiety attacks or allergy or stress or breakdown or these things that they can't control, when your body rebels against you
Yeah.
and says, I'm not doing what you want me to do. I'm not going to show up today and be in the circus of your life. I need you to take care of me and process these emotions and figure out what are these limiting beliefs. Like, that's the sign where, okay, I got to get some help. I like to call it energy psychology, because your psychology is very much connected to your energetic, your emotional state. And when people begin to see how your psychology and your body are so intuitively connected, it's not magic. It's science. It's practical magic, if you will, of looking at how is my psyche, which is what Greek for soul, affecting my physical manifestation. How is it affecting how I show up at work or in my relationships or in my personal life? So examining that is going to help you move forward in your life and grow as a person.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, my reasoning for sharing this is I think that a lot of people sometimes have these emotions or have these reactions, and they shrug them off. You know what I mean? I did it. I do it still sometimes. You know what I mean? Someone will get me upset, and I'll just be like, ugh, whatever. And then they get me upset the second time, and I'm like, ugh, whatever. And then the third time, I'm like, what the, So it's all, I think a lot of people just kind of shrug these away, and I hope that, just in hearing these stories, you just become more aware of your body, more aware of your, the way you're thinking, how your body's reacting, the situation that you're in, right? A lot of times with mental health, just being in a physical place can affect you. You know what I mean? For me, it was being in New York under those circumstances that was affecting me, and I had to escape, and I knew I had to escape, which is why I came to the West Coast. You know what I mean? I had to go to the opposite side.
You had to leave.
To leave, and it was just like I physically had to leave so that I could get some mental and emotional well-being,
Right.
some wellness, and so I hope that, just being more aware, being more conscious of your surroundings, of your body, and I think that's what it comes to, you know what I mean? Getting to know yourself, know thyself, and exploring that and taking the time to do that, which sometimes people think that they don't have, but really it's just a couple of minutes.
Well, limiting belief, for example, is I don't have enough time.
True.
My clients, it's not for a lack of money. It's, they'll pay me a retainer and they don't even show up because they're like, I don't have any time.
Yeah.
So for some people it is a lack of resources, but honestly, what I did with you is 30 minutes. And it was fast, and it was free, and it didn't take any magical stuff. It was just asking you very basic questions and applying some very simple energy psychology techniques to get you to heal yourself.
Yeah.
I wasn't healing you. You were healing yourself. You were ready because you were sick and tired, literally, of being in that situation. And it opened the doors for you to move forward in your life, to leave that part of your career behind, even though it's great, taught you a lot, but to let go of those old behaviors, those old experiences, repeating patterns that were keeping you down and keeping you from enjoying your life.
Yeah.
So there is so much more to mental health than just anxiety, depression. Allergies could be a symptom of some kind of emotional, mental imbalance, a subconscious belief that might be limiting you. And this month in the State of Happiness, we're all about talking about how you can explore the different ways of addressing your emotional and physical and spiritual well-being. On the previous episode, we talked about with our guest, Gabrielle. She's a health coach, and she was talking about how to improve your best life through what you eat and your health. Before that, we talked about postpartum depression and how that helped me open up my own intuitive abilities and the effect of that on my husband. Before that, we had Gabriel from Dragon Herbs, senior herbalist, and he talked about how to use herbs to boost your well-being and your spiritual strength and energy. So we have so many ways of looking at emotional and mental well-being. And for Mental Health Awareness Month, consider that there are other things to consider when it comes to your mental and emotional health. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at hello@leslieinc.org. If you have a story, let us know. Reach out to us on our Facebook page, Official Leslie Inc. And you can also touch base with us at Instagram at Leslie Inc. as well. I'm curious, do you have any allergies of your own? Any intolerances? Do you know the difference? Think about an allergy that you had. When did that get triggered? Explore your own history, your own story. I hope Anna's story illuminated that for you, and mine as well. You don't have to die or believe that you have to die instead of facing a difficult or challenging experience. Take a look inside. You can find the answers. They're all there. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The State of Happiness, Anna.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Always is.
And next time we'll be exploring more ways that you can improve and increase your state of happiness. Thanks for joining us. If you are ready to find your state of happiness, then a State of Happiness guide pack will get you there. 1 state, 4 destinations. These unique one-on-one coaching packages with me, Leslie Juvin-Acker, can help you reach your goals, dramatically improve your self-confidence, and create the life and career you want. Learn more about Leslie Inc. guide packs at leslieinc.org/gethappy. Watch the informational video, select a guide pack, and change your life in as little as 1 day. It's that easy. Leave the rest to me because I'm your guide in the state of happiness. A many thanks to you, happy campers, for joining us today on this episode of The State of Happiness. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can join me at Twitter at Leslie Juvin, as well as follow at Leslie Inc. on Instagram, and talk with us at Facebook at Official Leslie Inc. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to leave us a rating and subscribe and share with a friend. As always, thanks for joining us, and remember, a smile goes a long way.